Hello guys, today we are discussing adjectives. So make sure to put down all important information as terms, classifications, rules and exceptions, I suppose. So let's start. And we usually start with the definition. What is an adjective? Adjective is a class of words denoting a quality of any kind of object, substance or phenomenon. As for morphological characteristics, they usually possess only one grammatical category, and that is the degree. In terms of degrees, they actually can be either positive, superlative, and comparative ones. Some words form their superlative and comparative forms synthetically, which means that they use different types of inflections like suffixes. As for other words, they can create their forms analytically, which means that they use different extra words like more, the most, less, the least. You probably know that monosyllabic words, which comprise only one syllable, usually create their form by means of synthetical way. So it means that we add some suffixes. They are usually er and est. As for polysyllabic words, which consist of two or more syllables, they usually imply the usage of different words like more and most, but that's not always the case. With the two-syllable words, which end with this kind of endings, we usually use synthetical way of creating comparative and superlative forms. And among those words which have two syllables but also follow the synthetical pattern are also words that have the stress on the last syllable, such as complete. This word consists of two syllables, but the stress falls on the last one. That's why we actually use the synthetical way of forming comparative forms for this word, like completer and completest. Strange word, but still. We also have several adjectives which actually have the irregular form of superlative and comparative degrees. You can see them just like on the screen. Some of them also possess several comparative and superlative forms. They actually have the shift of meaning. I would strongly recommend you to search the net and to find the difference between farther, farthest, or further, furthest, okay? The same can be said about older, oldest, and elder, okay? So our next stop is syntactical functions or syntactical characteristics of adjectives. They can play the role of either an attribute or a predicative in the sentence. If they stand before the noun, they usually characterize it as an attribute. But if they follow the noun, and they actually stand after such kind of state verbs as be, seem, or look, they actually play the role of the predicative. Now let's talk about the classification of adjectives. They can be classified according to morphological structure. And according to this, they can be either simple, or derivative, or compound. They can also be classified according to the meaning. And here there are two types of adjectives. The first group is called qualitative. The second one is called relative. So what is the difference? Qualitative adjectives denote the quality of any kind of object or phenomenon, not through the relation to any other object. They characterize it independently. And these are usually such kind of adjectives that characterize either the color or the shape or mental or physical characteristics of an object, such words like large, little, beautiful, whatever. As for relative adjectives, they usually try to relate the quality of an object to any other object. And this is usually about the material or origin of the object, like wooden, a wooden table. So in here we actually talk not only about the table, but also about some other object like a tree. And through this relation, the relative adjective actually somehow characterizes the object, the table. Let's talk a bit about the grammar of adjectives. So actually for the qualitative adjectives, the peculiar thing is that they actually can be changed into the comparative forms. They actually have the comparative and the superlative degree. As for the relative adjectives, they usually do not possess the degrees of comparison. Probably you know that for the comparative ones, we usually have indefinite articles. So we say, she's a better reader than me. As for superlative forms, we usually use the, right? So the definite article. The question to you is, why? Why do we actually use definite article with superlative forms? This is actually the idea that can be somehow explained with the usage of grammatical background. And I think that you can guess the answer. Why? Okay, but actually it's not always the case when we use definite article with superlative forms. Actually, sometimes we can say not the most beautiful lady in the city, but we can say a most beautiful lady. Could you please try to guess why we actually do not need the definite article here, but instead of it we use a? Within the topic of adjectives, there is a nice issue to discuss, which is called substantivized adjectives. These are actually words that acquire some features of nouns. They still have somehow the nature of adjectives identified and felt, but still they also acquire some characteristics such as genitive case, plural form, an article. Well, in this group of adjectives, we have two types of substantivized ones, and these are wholly substantivized adjectives and partially substantivized. Partially substantivized words have several characteristics of nouns, such as an article, and these are the examples like the poor, the rich, the good, the evil. As for wholly substantivized words, these are actually things like natives, sweets, so they possess not only the article but also can be changed into the plural form and also have some kind of genitive case. As for nationalities words, they also are actually adjectives, like Russian, this is an adjective, and such kind of words are also differentiated in terms of wholly and partially substantivized ones. So there are some examples like Chinese, French, Dutch, okay, which are partially substantivized, and there are some nationalities adjectives that have the wholly substantivized nature, such as Russian, Russians, right, American, Americans, and so on. To sum up, I hope that this video was really informative for you and you got lots of joy watching it. So thank you for watching, and as popular bloggers say, click the like button, subscribe, and see you at the uni!